last part of the course is Clifford, the ethics of belief, and James's the will to believe. And I think there are really adequate videos. There's videos for everything except for the Bury for this course, I believe. So I'm not going to go into a lot of detail about either one of these because there are other videos that do that. Maybe we can paint the thing in broad strokes. Um, and Clifford raises the question. I would say that this is a central question. It's an odd question. Normally, we think we have the right to believe anything we want, but Clifford would say that that's not true. On the one hand, there are others to consider. The two examples that he gives, people who do things without adequately looking for evidence for their belief can get people killed or can ruin people's lives. Um, so I think it's quite obvious that if you're going to do something like send a ship out to sea full of people or accuse somebody of a terrible crime, you better have, well, here's the thing. You better have adequate evidence for your belief. That is, ethically, if you were to proceed without it, you would be in the wrong. But Clifford thinks each of our beliefs is important. And he talks about the way that people's beliefs get passed on, and the way in which our stock of common beliefs really forms our view of the world. So this may seem a little bit absolutist, but I mean, if belief were just a completely private thing, then maybe there'd be no ethics involved. But Clifford makes a daring claim that all our beliefs have social significance. So all our beliefs have to be acquired through adequate evidence. If not, then we have no right to believe them. It's really kind of a very provocative and interesting thesis. James's will to believe is, in a certain sense, a response to this provocative thesis, but it's much more complex than anything that Clifford says. Again, look to the videos that I've already done on James for that. I could say, though, that this is what's going on. Sorry, can't spell right. You could say that this is generally what we come out of Clifford with. That the only real motive for having any belief is having rational evidence that that belief is true. James is at least partially defending the idea that this is defensible. And by the will, one might say, what he calls our passional nature. He certainly doesn't think that this is always defensible. I mean, he's a rational person. He believes that um, if there is not always factual, rational evidence. And moreover, situation in terms of belief and truth is not so simple. Um, One of the things that he says is that sometimes our willingness to believe something is essential in its being true. I love when he asks this question. You know, I mean, that is a factual question. Do you like me? Yes or no? Either you like me or you don't. But James's point is, your willingness or my willingness to believe that you do, believe you like me, and act accordingly will have a big effect on whether you do like me. So, what in that case, in similar cases, it's a justification of acting on faith. That is, if we waited for evidence that someone likes us before we acted as if they do, then we might wait forever and miss out. So, one of the big questions that James is asking in this essay again, in most cases, it's not an either or. That is, we don't have to make the choice. Avoiding error and gaining truth would seem to be part of the same thing. Certainly, they were to Socrates. But James is saying in certain cases, they are different, and they maybe they're a reflection, he says, of different individual temperaments. Like which do you find to be worse? Is really, there's no one answer to that. It's a matter of your outlook. For Clifford, it's clearly falsehood. That's worse than missing out on truth. So it's more important to avoid error than it is to gain truth. Um, James is saying, especially with regard to moral and I would say especially religious belief, that the danger of missing out on truth for him, I guess his temperament, is that it's a much worse thing than being involved in a falsehood. Especially when it comes to religious belief, in which there is no rational evidence one way or another. One, some would say, he would say. Actually, I'm not sure he would say that, but we lack full evidence one way or another, whether there is a God, whether religion is true in any way. But for James, the truth is so important, or if it is a truth, it's so important to have it that for him it's excusable to believe it on inadequate evidence. So you might say that maybe the whole upshot, a certain way, of James's essay is that Clifford's stricture that we should never believe anything unless we have adequate evidence for it is unreasonable in itself, given how important certain things are, should they happen to be true.